gets worse. People with good attitudes let go of grudges. It's not to say that I agree with the offense. It's not to say that I agree with the slights or that I delight in them. No. They're hurtful and painful just like everybody else experiences. But they let it go. They make the conscious decision. I'm done with having this affect me in an adverse way. I hereby let it go. And then the property that grudge was taking place gets freed up with good attitude. How important that all becomes. Read with me. Bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. Wow, huge. That's important. By forgiving, we let go of the grudge that would create a bad attitude. We make room for good attitude when we forgive. In the name of taking this in for a landing, Thanksgiving is a time when we stand before God. I guess we can approach Him and say, God, you should have done this for me during this past year. It'd be nice if you'd have done this, that, or the other. It'd be nice if you changed the people I live around and work around and just changed my neighbors and their attitudes and their habits. Or we can approach them with gratitude, with good attitude. We can approach God with good attitude. I liken it to this. The first Thanksgiving, the history books tend to romanticize that. At least the Hallmark movies do. You know the Pilgrims that came to found the Plymouth colony? Had a rough go of it. They made their home in a swampy depression in the peninsula out there in the middle of the bay, thinking it would be easy to defend, but it was damp and dank. It smelled bad. It was prone to disease as a result of that, and a lot of people died of diseases. Even more, starvation. They went there thinking they would make their living fishing, but no one knew anything about fishing. They tried to plant, but had no experience with that either. The Indians had to come and help them. The Indians felt sorry for them. They could have gotten together and vented, right? And just talked about it. What a bad hand they had. But the leader of the Plymouth colony said, man, we need to get away from these bad attitudes, which we kind of deserve. Better yet, why don't we switch to good attitude? And how did they do that? By thanking God for what they did receive. Even invited their friends, the Indians, the Native Americans, to come and join them. Time of feasting. Where did their minds go? Where did their gaze go? What lens did they quit looking through? The downhill ones, the bad attitude ones. Switched it over to the positive ones. Saw attitude change. Developed an attitude of gratitude. So we've got a choice. Bad attitude, good attitude. Which are we going to live with? Which are we going to hold on to? I was reading Phillip not too long ago. A brilliant theological mind. Great writer. Most of his works are about grace. And he's written so many books about them. You'd think he'd have it mastered by now, but the grace of Jesus Christ is so big that even a brilliant intellect like his still is trying to get his mind around it. But he talks about how grace even gets bothered by his attitude. He writes in one of his books, I wake up in the morning just feeling sour, feeling toxic, feeling angry. And I guess people who do that have a choice, don't they? They can stay in that attitude, stay in it all day, miserable though it is. But there's a choice. I can switch my attitude. I can start concentrating with a grateful heart on the providence of God. That'll change my outlook. That'll change me. I'll get away from that ingracious type of attitude and move to a gracious attitude. I'll get away from that state that says grace is something unmeaningful to me and grace to something that says grace is something powerful and changing and dynamic around me. I'll get away from complaining. I'll get away toward thanksgiving. With this in heart and mind, I offer anyone a chance to make the change. To have done with an attitude that's ungracious. To move our attention, our focus towards something positive, towards something godly, towards something that's easy to say, God, thank you. And when we thank, we open up the treasure vaults of heaven. All the riches of Jesus becoming ours. Our attitude changes with it. All to the glory of God. Anyone want to make the change? Altar of the church is open. Open just for that. Let's stand as we sing. Nothing is impossible.